All right, this is Gimbalabs Playground. It's the 21st of May, 2024. Welcome, welcome, everybody. We get together on Tuesdays at 1800 UTC to talk about ideas, big and small, whether it's the technical details of an implementation that somebody's building or just big picture questions that we all have. We've been doing this for a couple of years, and to share a little bit of history, I'm going to jump over to a Miro board. This Miro board, like the Zoom link to this meeting, is available at gimbalabs.com/playground, where anybody can see it. And if you do look at the board, you'll find a few things: links to an archive of the first couple years of Playground, a table right here that started in September of 2023 when season 3 of Playground launched. And you can see a list of everybody who's presented. Uh, it's called Playground, and we like to talk about education here at Gimbalabs. So we're kind of following loosely the academic calendar here in the Northern Hemisphere. The intention was to close things out in May, but there's just so much to talk about that we're extending Playground a little bit through the end of June, where Lucas will wrap us up with our last Playground of the season on June 25th, presenting 45B. Over the next few weeks, we got a couple of exciting ones. Aisteen has some ideas about socially upgradable smart contracts. Claudio's been working on some EUTXO advancements. I'm excited to see that one. And there's 2 open slots left, June 11th and June 18th. So if you're watching this and you're wondering how to present, here's the story. Once again, you can access this Miro board at gimbalabs.com/playground. And all you have to do is find an open slot, drop your name, the topic that you'd like to talk about, and just a way to get in touch with you. Discord handles are especially useful because we can tag you on announcements in the Gimbalabs Discord. And that's the entire sign-up process. Add yourself to the agenda, and you're officially scheduled, and we hope to see you on that date. What happens during Playground? We spend the first few minutes just catching up, then we go live, and I share some version of the little overview I'm giving you right now. But then we spend most of the time on a presentation and discussion. There's a lot of different ways to present at Playground. Maybe there's a product you're working on. Maybe you have a loose idea and you want some feedback on it. Maybe you've just been thinking about a big theme and you want to start a conversation about it. And most likely, it's going to be some combination of all of the above. We like to start with specifics here, but often we get out into all sorts of details that might accompany the sorts of stuff we're talking about. So really excited to look at this today. Nan, it's really great that you're here, and it's good to be catching up, but I'm really excited to jump into your presentation about GravID. Digital identity is a big topic. And so as you can see, I'm sure you got some product stuff to tell us about, but also this is a topic that I know is on everybody's mind in one way or another. So really looking forward to seeing where this conversation goes today. Before we jump to the main event, does anybody have any questions about Playground? Awesome. All right. If you're catching up with this video later, just know that you can find us 1800 UTC on Tuesdays. But without further ado, hand it off to Nin. Welcome, my friend. What you got for us today?
Awesome. Hey, James. Hey, everybody. Good to be back. Can you see my screen? It says it's loading.
Got it. Looks good.
Okay, awesome. So I caught up with Nori and Newman, a couple of other Gimbal friends, and they told me you guys are diving deeper into self-sovereign identity and digital identity and all of that. That happens to be something where we've been working on for quite some time. We just recently launched a product. It's an app on both iOS and Android. It's called GravVidi, spelled out grav.id. Um, a little play on words and pronunciation, but we're pretty much aiming to help communities build their orbit of trust and safeguard that orbit of trust with top of line privacy, security, and user experience. And our vision very much so is very much the same. It's to empower people to unlock more opportunities for their career, for their life, but it's to do it with improved trust, enhanced security, better user experience, that ensures integrity, data integrity, especially, and trust integrity across the whole funnel, whether you are onboarding a new contributor, a new volunteer, a new member to your community, or whether they are certifying themselves with, some kind of validation beyond, yes, I've committed some kind of code, that also protects who they are, and helps them keep their user privacy, and helps a lot of organizations elevate the compliance. So we've been talking to healthcare, nonprofits, to open source communities, and some of them they worry about CCPA, GDPR, and all of the other data privacy compliances. And what we essentially build is based on self-sovereign identity. It's built on Trinsic and Hyperledger, right? And also we're chatting with the Atala Prism team folks to build out zero knowledge proofs. More on that a little bit later. But it ensures compliance. So let me take a step back and kind of share with you guys, a little bit of history of why SSI and why decentralized identity matters, right? Everybody has one of these, I assume. Driver license is some kind of national ID, right? James, you're gonna be driving, drive safe. You probably want to take one of these with you,
Thanks,
right?
partner. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Um, so you gotta have some kind of form of identification, right? Issued by the government or by whoever, right? And then, once there's some kind of digital need to validate yourself, or to perhaps create an account, or regain access to your accounts, you usually take a picture of that ID and you upload it into somebody's system, and that usually lives in a centralized database, which is protected usually by a username password on the admin level as well as on the user level, right? If you upload and take pictures on using your Pixel phone, then usually all of those pictures are uploaded to Google Photos or Google Drive, and it lives in a Google ecosystem, right? Google Cloud. And Google also provides Google OAuth and single sign-on solutions, and that's called federated identity access management, where I can log into pretty much anything under the sun now using my Google credentials, as long as I am logged into my Gmail, right? The difference in the newest generation is user-centric, where the data is controlled by you, the user, directly, and the data is stored with you on device. And that is the whole premise of decentralized identity. We are removing the middlemen. We remove Google and others that would pretty much play as the central verifiers um, of the data that's being stored and being uploaded. So we're going from this world where you have Twitter and Google and all the other signs of logins, right, to just sign in with your one enhanced digital identity. We call it enhanced digital identity. Others call it self-sovereign identity. There's different names. They all mean the same thing. Okay. So what do they mean? In federated identity, let's take, for example, if you're logging in with Google OAuth, right, or on Google, I can go on it and I can delete my history, right? If you guys ever played with your Google data settings, you can delete, your browsing history, your location history, or limit sharing of that. But you don't really have security from hackers because it is stored in a centralized database still, right? And as you know, Data breaches happen every single day. Perhaps maybe not from Google, but AT&T just got hacked, and they leaked all of their users' data, so social security, phone numbers, addresses, everything, right? LinkedIn gets hacked all the time. They have federated login and federated identity. Same URLs, who you are, your ID cards, your passwords, everything. And you don't really have ability to limit. You have ability to limit some sharing, right? But you don't have ability to limit what is actually being shared. Either it's being shared, you give somebody permissions to access your Google Drive, to edit, to see the files, or you don't, right? On an app level. And the world is becoming more and more interwoven, increasingly integrated, especially when it comes to access to your data. When you're out of power or out of internet, it's not available, right? If you can't load Google or LinkedIn, there's DDoS, you're out of luck. And of course, all of these companies have sub-processors and data processors. And you as a user, you don't have a choice. You either opt out completely, stop using the platform, and send in your opt-out deletion request, and stop using Gmail or stop using LinkedIn. You don't really have an option to pick and choose who you share your data with. Versus with enhanced digital identity or self-sovereign digital identity, it is the same thing. We call it enhanced digital identity because it's more friendly to the common folks that are not familiar with Web3, right? In the SSI world. They understand digital identity, but now it's like enhanced digital identity. Okay, what does it give me? It gives me control, complete control, because the data lives on their phone or lives with them, right? Security from hackers, more on that later, because there's no one centralized database with millions of people's data. And if somebody wants to hack somebody, it would just have to go through multiple layers of security just to get to my personal and individual data. I can control full selective disclosure with zero knowledge proof. That's possible. And since the data lives with me, I can easily just generate a QR code with the JSON output of all the data and present it to somebody. They scan it and they'll be able to access it. No need for internet, right? So think about this technology being used in countries where access to internet is not guaranteed or not available. And you have a paper trail of who accessed it and when, and opt out individually from data processors. So here's like an example of how it would look. So an issuer could be an institution or organization. In this case, it could be Gimbalabs, for example. You guys issue, I believe, NFTs or tokens, both, right? Gimbal tokens, I have a bunch. And I don't know if you guys issue NFTs for when people complete a class or do something for the community. Pretty sure you do, right? As a Web3 project. And in this case, you would be issuing verified credentials. So verified credentials are similar to NFTs, except they are living on a private on-device blockchain, right? The data is all encrypted. It lives on the people's devices, and it's linked to their identity, in this case, decentralized identifier. I don't want to get into the technical details. You can ask me later, right? But the true holder, the storer of that data is the user, right? That stores it on the phone or whatever device that they use to create the enhanced identity. So think of it like if you had a ledger for your tokens, right? So now your phone or whatever other digital device becomes kind of like a ledger for all of your digital verified credentials that would be linked to you and who you are. And then you'll be able to provide this verified credentials to others in the community. We call it trust community or in the partner network, right? And then you can provide it back as a proof to other organization institutions in case they want to see, okay, do you still own it, or do you have it? Do you have the ID card, right? Can we check it? Are you allowed to drive? Are you over 18, and so on? So one use case is KYC. For example, KYC, for many of you who don't know, it's know your customer compliance law that pretty much happened after the a lot of the Patriot Act happened, right? To know like where money is moving from and to whom and so on. And it's used as a tool of control. And a lot of times, people don't like KYC because of that. However, when you combine KYC with self-sovereign identity or enhanced digital identity, when you give the end user full control of their data, right, to be able to validate themselves at any point, and convert their centralized KYC to decentralized KYC, something they own, they control, they share. They can opt out of sharing at any time and present proofs that are fraud proof, that are instantly verifiable. That gives the user power to be able to access a lot of the services that require KYC. And I believe for Web3, it's becoming more and more relevant as there's more regulations in token sales and token launches, especially in the US, right, and across the world, to need to be able to KYC or others. It's pretty standard. Like when somebody fills out an intake form at like a healthcare nonprofit, they always ask you, hey, can you fill out all your information? Give me your insurance card or driver license or whatever. Instead of having to do it multiple times, you just show a QR code, they scan it, and they validate who you are. It doesn't require all of the data, right? It doesn't need to show all of the data. It just shows maybe, yeah, you have a valid ID card, you have valid insurance, you're over the age, you verify country, you have verified name. Maybe you are living in the US, you're not, you're over 18, you can participate in the token sale, right? Or you are who you say you are, and you're not a bot or bad actor in the community, right? So these are the things that are possible with verified credentials, KYC verified credentials, right? Like we call it KYC to VC. And instead of showing them like, hey, this is my physical card, right? It has all my information on it, my birthday, my address, and so on. You don't have to, right? People don't have to. And a lot of times in online communities, privacy is extremely, extremely important, especially when it comes to connecting it with your finances, right? And why is it important? One of the reasons is just basic digital security and cybersecurity. For centralized identity storage or just data storage in general, huge companies are spending a ton of money, millions of dollars, right? And they're always catching up, always doing more layers of security on how to secure data. Anyone have a question? Hey, Jonathan, welcome. Cool. Thank you. And so companies, enterprises, big and small, they're spending money, right, on this, and they can afford to spend money. But at the same time, they're storing a ton of people's data. Like LinkedIn is storing almost 1 billion people's data. I think their number is like 980 million something. And they get hacked every 5 years, of course, because the data is extremely valuable. If you have, people's professional history and what they tell about themselves, that's in their email and passwords, that's truly valuable. And a organization that's a black hat hacker, they would want to hack this data because it has real resale value on the dark web, for example, right? Data is being resold, not just from hacks, but also commercially, right? Every single day. And that's something, I have personal experience with because, um, uh, that I bought and resold data like this as part of an ecosystem that I built for my previous companies, right? So I understand how that works and how much money goes into securing, safeguarding this, and how much money is also in this database. So versus with decentralized identity, you decentralize the risk and you also decentralize the cost, right? The risk for you to lose your data is not as high as the risk of somebody hacking a centralized database with your data in it. It doesn't cost you that much to safeguard yourself than for a big organization to safeguard a huge, massive database from very sophisticated and comprehensive hacking, right, and data breaches. And it's something that lives on a distributed ledger, right, whether it's on device with a communication protocol between the different layers, right? And that's really the identity trust fabric. So how does that relate to what we're doing? So let's see. There's different use cases. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen this, right? But it can be used, decentralized identity can be used for anything from government issued IDs to national ID card, passport, residency visas, tax numbers, driver licenses, and so on, to universities and educational organizations that issue student IDs or academic certifications, right? And to different companies that could issue different cards, like insurance cards. In the healthcare, it's medical records. For employees, it's employer card or memberships. And then to banks, to self-attestation, like this is my email, this is my phone number, it's verified. And all of these different examples of credentials can be used for different use cases on the right, from government to smart city to travel to health, education, e-banking, decentralized finance, KYC credentials. More and more on-ramp and off-ramps are requiring KYC. And preferably, you'd want that KYC not to live in the DeFi centralized database, but to live with you, where you control and where you can know who has access to your data. For us, we're focusing on these use cases right now for our product that we're super excited to launch and tell you a little bit more about and discuss more about. So our app supports tickets and vouchers for events and conferences. We beta tested this with a couple of conferences that we went to and a bunch of users as well. Implement credentials, that's part of integration with SnapRelia, where somebody completes the task or the bounty or the gig or lands a job, and then we actually would be able to issue them verified credential. And if they don't have an account, they just sign up and verified credential would be there, as long as it's linked to an email that they provide, right? We have frictionless checkout, automated data provisioning, compliance with rights to your data, right? So normally people think about automated data provisioning as enterprise data provisioning. Like if this person has this credential, then they'll have access to that data, kind of like token gating in a sense. But here's, you actually have access to who has access to your data, right? And what type of access, how much access, when they access, and so on. Onboarding users into and authenticating them to whatever app that you have. So similarly to Google Auth and so on, you would be able to just display a QR code that people would scan and join your community and pass back an API response, whether they are an authenticated user, whether they have a KYC with you or not, and then you can move them forward. So we partner with, I'll talk about some partnerships later on, but enabling a lot of use cases based on that, and digitizing documents, right? Perhaps you want to digitize um, your utility bill to prove that you live in the residence, for applying for, I don't know, going to post office and saying this is my address, or proving that yes, indeed, I live here. So uploading pictures of things that you want digitized, and then asking the businesses to issue verified credential for you. Fraud prevention via user verification, via verified users, businesses, verified documents. We have KYC within the app. I'll demo that in a bit. We don't have KYB quite a bit yet, but KYC, frictionless onboarding of users into your community, and then verification of other people in the space, including vendors and other actors, right? So all of this is available on the app today. And when it comes to supporting communities, we found our um, we found our niche in supporting nonprofits. And I think that's something that I've always gravitated towards, to support people that like to and are creating some kind of impact, and who really want to safeguard the community and grow with the right people, where each individual in that community is either a high net worth person or high trust person, and they want to create a community of trust, right? And of course, companies, big and small, for small companies, they need brand exposure, awareness, and credibility. And this is verified credentials and SSI gives them the ability, and gives them the ability to market better. And that's pretty much how we built the app, for events, conferences, for gatherings, for announcements, instead of just relying on email and text messages and weekly meetings. You'll be able to have your own community on the app, and push out notifications as they become important, as you create announcements. So before I hop into the demo itself, do you guys have any questions? I think I covered almost all the slides here.
I really love the name. I didn't read it correctly, but when you said gravity, that's really compelling. And even to hear you say that you gravitate towards, say, nonprofit use cases, have you, in your conversations with people, or even high level ones, uh, does that gravity metaphor serve a purpose? Do you see like identity as having something like a gravitational force?
Absolutely. It's all about like pulling things into your orbit of trust, right? So it's not just about, self-sovereign identity where people own their own data, but we want to help and enable people to own their own destinies, right? And that means building relationships, building things that you can validate about yourself, whether it's your driver license or bachelor degree or whatever it is, right? Your involvement in a community, who you are, right? And to be able to connect, just like the cosmos, the gravitational pull, like the solar system, right? We all orbit around the sun, but we all have our own gravitational pull to make everything work together. So it's a really cute play on words. My co-founder came with the awesome name, and my designers and product people and people who we talk to, they love it. It's all about creating, a decentralized social network that empowers users, that people own and own all of the data in it, and they can do whatever they want. And in terms of nonprofits, James, um, the reason why we found like a way to talk with and work with nonprofits is because they naturally invest in their community and the people that they serve. Sometimes they call them clients and customers, right? Other people that they serve and help. It could be, for example, addiction recovery, or it could be just general, like, women empowerment, whatever it is, right? Or it could be just education, Web3 education. So, or it could be real estate investment education, or education is huge, healthcare is huge, government's huge. We're talking to counties. They want to empower their students to do elections and voting, but they need to first, validate that they're eligible to vote and so on, right? And join this community and get things. We're talking to people about wildfires, right? Because when you think about wildfires, if one homeowner does the works and protects their home from fires, right? It doesn't really work if, no other neighbors are participating in that. And then there's a trust triangle between the fire department, the homeowner, and then the insurance company. So there's just so many use cases, and working with people that get it, that get and understand, like, I want data security, regardless of what the technology is behind it. I love people owning their data. Homeowners will not upload, like, what is their house made out of, their deed, things like that, right? Just anywhere. Um, but if they know, like, hey, it's trusted, it lives with you, you control it, you have your ID there and so on, um, then that is so much better. And we do this at a pretty affordable rate as well. So yeah, it all comes together with gravity. All right. Any questions? I'd love to quickly hop on my phone and share actually the demo of the app, whatever is live today, perhaps. What do you guys think? All right, got a couple of thumbs up.
That sounds good. Let's see a demo and see where else that takes the conversation. It's really cool.
Yeah. All right. So let me join from my phone. I'll hop off for just for a bit, just so that there's no echo. Let me do this real quick. And while I do this, I guess, while I sign up the registration form, one of the projects that we recently partnered with is Goki, which is a Cardano decentralized real estate kind of DAO investment platform that they're building. And they needed KYC in order to onboard new investors to co-invest in properties, and so obviously we have KYC. We sell it at cost. So oftentimes, because we're able to buy KYC in bulk, we're able to give people, the KYC at like $1.50 per verification instead of paying $3, and have ability for organizations to pay on a monthly basis instead of pay all up front, especially if you don't need a huge volume, and ability to have your own community, build on SSI, and eventually have your own crypto wallet and have your own SSI wallet. Since we don't store the data, right, we just store proofs that the data existed. We don't really care. The data is stored with the users. So we don't really care if it's Gravity wallet or Goki wallet or whatever wallet, right? So that's pretty exciting. Anyways, let me join. All right. Can everyone hear me again?
Yeah, we gotcha.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let me share my screen here. And I think you guys.
While we're waiting for Nin to get back, um, I, I haven't had sufficient time to keep tabs on all of the digital identity solutions out there. But is anybody here aware of other alternatives that are emphasizing KYC the way it sounds like Gravity is? Yeah, Block Trust. We got to check if they're working on that. It's compelling. I definitely want to understand more about this solution and where it fits in the market.
I think that's the problem, right? Is, the where, like we can accept it among one another, but we already know one another, so it's not like helping us a lot. Um, it's like stuff at the retail level, accepting our decentralized identities, no matter how fancy they are, and that's why, it sounds like he's making some inroads into actually getting it out there as a solution for people. And that just, that goes back to the question that we've always, gone around and around and about, can we just create our own communities? That's what I appreciate about what Nori's done over the years and what James does here. It's like, can we just like live in our own communities with these tools? But the bigger trick is to get the border guard to accept your ID, and that is a real trick. And I don't know that we'll know if that ever happens for a while. It's going to take that sea change in the political environment about crypto.
Yeah, that prompt, we already know each other. That's a really good way to say it. I already know you. What good are you? Come on. Yeah.
I know you. I don't need your silly NFT.
Yeah. A lot of good your NFT did me. All right, but what about crossing the border, for example? That's a compelling story that I think a lot of people can start to sink their teeth into.
And some of that could be through transitive trust. Like if I trust James, should I trust the 3 or 4 people that he vouches for without me having to know them in the same way? And I think those kind of dynamics are interesting. Like it's not just like a friends network, but it's more of a, yeah, I trust this person. I work with them for a long time. And maybe that kind of vouchsafing can translate down the line. And you can't just vouch for anybody, because if they break that trust, that affects you and all the trust networks that you have, because people are relying on that. I think those mechanisms are possible with blockchain and the stuff we're building, but I don't see anybody really leaning into that yet. Maybe that's a topic of space trains or something like that.
That's how it works in real life, right? Uh, it's a usual practice in the daily lives. We trust people that is trusted by others. Maybe we need a protocol that to formalize that on chain, maybe. But trusting in others, in other people that we trust, is a really effective way that works in real life with a good probability of success.
Yeah, and in the real world, there's also the mechanism of just benefit of the doubt, right? If I know you and we have a relationship in, say, the town where we live, I'll take your recommendation. You want to recommend, a hairdresser and an auto mechanic? I'll say, yeah, oh, I trust Sebastian. I'll take his recommendation. And then I have a chance to go validate that was a good recommendation. So you start to have these layers, and I'm really fascinated by the derived trust, not that first moment where you vouch for somebody, but the moment where I say, oh, that was an effective vouching, and I want to see kind of all of those start to add up.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, at least it's a starting point that helps you to start what you are looking for in the midst of all this noise, this huge amount of information. It's not you don't take decisions 100% based on the information of others about something or someone, but you can start from the building more evidence.
Steve, you were about to riff on that. And Seb, can you ping Nin and just see if he's okay?
Sure.
Thanks. But yeah, Steve, what were you about to say?
Well, um, just in my life in the last few months, I've done a lot of financial things that I haven't done ever or in many years, right? I have no history that's collected on that, right? And it doesn't do me any good in terms of reputation building or adding to my, whatever, my economic history. And to compound that issue, Kelly and I legally got married a few weeks ago, and so like, is what she's done reflect for me, or not, and that's just the real world, and this is a question where
Hey,
I'm I'm tired of the larger concept conversations about DIDs. I want to talk about, how do you technically capture that shit, and make it possible for a, software, smart contract, a DID development or evolution, work for, people like me and Kelly, because we're just like everybody else. How does that work for us? We've been together 15 years. How do we tie our identities together in a way that benefits us? How do we capture our value in a way that benefits us? Because we have provided value. I have half remembered conversations that verify that for me. That was a joke.
Should I trust Kelly's vouch for you more or less since you got married?
Yeah, that's a question, I feel like, what the hell was she thinking? But I mean, time is the voucher, right? I mean, she's been with me 15 years. I haven't had her, chained to the bed very often. So it's not just that.
with verified credentials, you can put on them, so you can see the trail of renewal of trust. Anyways, I realized that my Zoom closed or crashed midway, and I don't know when it crashed.
Oh, you were giving us the demo that whole time?
Yes,
You
I was
crashed
giving you
Okay,
a
yeah,
demo
we
the whole
missed we
time.
missed all of it. We lost you right at the beginning of
Oh
the demo.
no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. But
No way.
we
Okay.
tried to pick up the thread a little bit.
Okay, cool. You guys want to see a demo? I'd love to do a demo, a quick one. But I just KYC'd myself, so I don't think it'll let me KYC again because it's a reusable KYC. Did you guys not see any of it?
No. See,
Wow,
and so
okay.
this is a real world example, right? You've decided to change the direction of your evolution, so you want a new ID, but you can't KYC yourself again. It's kind of like
You
me
could
logging into Idea
create a
Scale. Can I do that? Can I do that? Log into Idea Scale with a different ID? They
you
won't let
could
me in now, but will they let me in later?
you technically could. So all you need to do is you would create a new account pretty much, and then that will let you KYC again. However, the KYC provider will know that this ID is connected to these two accounts, if that makes sense, right? Anyways,
Yeah.
um,
Well, so in the absence maybe of a complete demo, tell us more about the KYC provider, right? This is where that feels still to me, and I think a lot of people, like a leap of faith to trust that provider in the first place. So how do you talk about your inherent and kind of enforced trust of this provider?
yeah. So good question. All KYC providers, almost all of them, are centralized. The ones that are trusted by banks, by all the regular institutions that you and I probably interact with on a daily basis. Now, essentially, what we do is we buy their KYC service in bulk, and they are a verifier. They're the IDV. It's just a company called IDV, and it stands for Identity Verification. And what we do is we take their centralized identity verification and we write it into a verified credential with all the information passed down from them, including your birthday, all the contents of your driver license or visa or government ID and so on. And now instead of going back to them and doing the KYC over and over for every DeFi or DEX or, smart contract that would pay them directly the API fees, you can do it yourself. You can present your KYC from them that's valid, that they have verified, that lives on your device, that you own, and you can control that, right? But anytime that you, like in Steve's comment, like, if I create a new account, can I KYC again? Like once you KYC, it's you KYC, at least from this provider. There's no point for you to KYC again and again. There's no point for you to own 10 verified credentials for the same KYC from the same issuer, if that makes sense, right? Why would you need 10, ID verifications? Now, if you created a new account, and you want to KYC again, they will know that since they KYC and scan your ID card already, they would know, okay, this is linked to a previous Gravity account. Just like they would know, okay, you have an account with this bank and that bank and that bank, if you KYC for all the banks with them, right? There's a pretty big diversity in the ID verification and KYC provider world that likely they may have some information on you, but they may not. And that's yet another reason why you want to go with self-sovereign identity KYC, so that you don't have to share, who you are verifying for with these centralized providers. In one way or the other, there are some decentralized KYC providers. They don't have access to all of the data. They use some of this technology as well. And what happens is, if we have enough users to do their KYC, and the KYC is does not have expiration dates, then the users themselves could be asked, okay, hey, somebody wants to KYC you, and they want to pay you X amount of dollars in order to KYC your wallet or whatever it is, in order to provide you services. And that pretty much is paying you the KYC cost instead of paying the IDV. Are we there yet? No, because SSI is very new. Are we there yet? Technically, yes, we are. We are where we can take centralized KYC and make it decentralized and empower the user to do whatever they want with it, and empower our partners that want to build with us to integrate with SSI in order to have access to, KYC at cost, and not have to rely on centralized KYC for long term, but convert people and onboard people to SSI KYC. I hope that answers the question.
No, there were a couple of really interesting things there. I mean, so one of the things I just heard you say, right, is there's a use case for an application developer it's in their interest to provide a KYC service for users. And so I'm curious about those use cases. That's really interesting.
And then I can talk about one.
Yeah. Let's go run with that.
Yeah. So for example, one of our latest partnerships with Craig at Goki, right? If you guys don't know Goki, I show here. Yeah, let me share my screen and I'll talk about it while I show them like a quick demo. So Goki, they are a Cardano project, and they're doing decentralized real estate, right? Let me see. You guys see me, hear me? I didn't drop or anything.
Still got you, but we don't see your screen at this moment.
How about now? How about now? Yeah.
Yeah, got it. And that looks like a phone screen. That's great.
Oh, awesome, great. It's on my phone. And here's the KYC I just finished. But let's see for Craig if I so this is his KYC for Goki Basecamp. Is like a sub DAO for the first community owned and managed real estate DAO built on Cardano, right? And Basecamp is a real property that Craig owns, and he's doing like a DAO co-investment type of thing where he needs to KYC everybody who obviously buys the piece of property, right? Because of compliance. So I can go in and complete my KYC. And since I already completed my KYC already on my app, I can just submit it. It will check whether I have a KYC completed already, which I did, and then I'm able to access his community, right? And he just said hi 5 hours ago, right? And the way it works is he has one community that doesn't have KYC requirement. Just want to find it. Sorry, just many communities here. Right, and say, hey, to get KYC to access private Basecamp owners channel, we'll discuss our investment management ideas, proposal, prepare to vote as needed. A lot of the challenges of co-investment online, right? Normally, if you buy a property, you have to, go to a notary, make sure it's you, present them your driver license, they notarize you and do a bunch of stuff, right? Sign a bunch of papers, and then to be able to deposit the money, right? When I bought my house, a bunch of houses, that's pretty much the process. And so over here to enable real estate, what Craig is doing, what Goki is doing, and other use cases, right? Where you have a legal compliance, oftentimes deals with banking or investments or maybe safeguarding board membership, things like that, right? Then you would require KYC. And people go in, they KYC themselves, and they're able to chat and navigate, management of the real asset or digital asset or whatever it is, right? And then purchase it right then and there. So that's one use case. Goki needs to KYC investors, right? Because the property is in the US. And then once people KYC, then they're able to go in and engage in the community itself, right? All right.
That's a really helpful real world example. Nice work.
Yeah, there's other ones. But people would be able to go in and just create decentralized communities, right? Decentralized communities where people post things. For example, here, I post things. I just posted this on a demo 15 minutes ago, right? Which I thought was recording, but it wasn't. People can post pictures and different things, right? Videos, links. It has a full built-in browser, so I can go in Gimbalabs, right? Check you guys out. And all of this, like, I cannot download any of these pictures or videos and so on, right? It's pretty much like verified content. It's the stuff, like Steve said, hey, I have so many conversations. He remembers them, and Kelly probably remembers them, but there's no digital footprint. So anything that happens here, there's a digital footprint for you and what you've done. And when it comes to the business and the community owners themselves, they can view the analytics, they can do different things, right? See the user data and the data that the users share with the community, right? So here, I'll show maybe this one where it asks me my name, my email, and if I'm creator and share my information or not, right? This one, right, would ask me for my phone number, right? So all of these things will very much so be added to the verified credential as a membership that you are part of that community, right? So yeah, it is usable. There's APIs that that you can pull, like, who's a member, what information they share with you, and people can also just completely delete their profile or change change their identity profile or leave your community, so you lose access to their data, right? And of course, we support like 38 languages or something like that. The app automatically detects what language your phone is in and sets it by default. Comes with a crypto wallet as well. For those of you guys that are on Web3, sounds like I'm on a Web3 call. Anyways, I want to go back to the call and join the discussion.
Very cool. And yeah, that was actually my next question. So regarding APIs and people maybe building Web3 applications on a particular blockchain, what's the integration process like right now, and what are you guys doing next?
We're building a web application as a next step. And we're building other features that users and customers requested. For example, some communities, they want to charge for membership, like subscription fee to their VIP content, for example. We're helping Goki, for example, they have like 500 owner onboarding fee and multiples off. So instead of using like an offline payment method where they send ADA that way, people could just link their credit card or link their crypto wallet and just make a payment and KYC themselves and join the community and so on. Streaming is down the roadmap. API access is already there. However, there's different tiers for API access, of course. With API, you would be able to issue verified credentials. You would be able to read the verified credentials that you have issued, usually under the services that you've created within the app, and just see the analytics for your community.
On that example of crypto payments, then it sounds like the wallet address would be a field to the Gravity, right? Am I getting that right?
So on the crypto, you're asking about the crypto wallet?
Yeah, so the connection between a crypto wallet and Gravity is...
Yeah. It's just the app. So actually, the crypto wallet is a self-custodial crypto wallet. Okay. There's actually no connection between the SSI wallet and the crypto wallet outside of a person's email. Okay. So when people sign up for Gravity, their SSI wallet is created separately on device, private blockchain on device. And then there are different wallets like Ethereum, Cardano, Polygon, and so on. They created on each network separately. Self-custodial, there's key phrases, and so on. Unless the service asks for your wallet address and you volunteer that information, then the two don't touch. Right. You can keep your identity and your token separate. So you can KYC and never KYC your wallet, your crypto wallet. But if you volunteer your wallet address or KYC service, then that business will have access to both. And it's only you and that business, right? On our side, we see, okay, this email has this decentralized identifier, right? All the verified credentials are stored on device. We just know that they exist and there's proof. On the crypto side, we see that this person has all the different wallets. They're self-custodial. They live on chain. Of course, we you know their addresses and so on. But yeah, we don't store anybody's seed phrases. And it's all self-custodial, and in a way we turn the phone into a hardware wallet because it lives on your phone.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what I was getting at, right? Yeah, the phone becomes the connection point, and that connection point is living in the hands of the user.
Right. So if you don't back up your seed phrases, you lose your phone, you're out of tokens. If you lose your phone and you don't you don't back up your SSI wallet and their verified credentials, then you lose all the verified credentials, just like you lose your wallet, right? You lose your wallet, you lose all the IDs in it. And in order to get them back, you'd have to re-sign up for the communities or verified credential services, just like you'd have to go to DMV and get ID card.
Right. But the advantages side of that is now I have custody of a wallet that I'm accessing from within the Gravity app on my phone, but nothing's stopping me from using those mnemonics anywhere else I need to use them.
Yes, you can actually generate a JSON QR code that has a JSON file of all of your data inside a verified credential. They can move into any wallet that supports the W3C OBV3 standard.
Yeah, I had that question too. So you guys are interoperable with anyone else following the W3C standard?
Yeah, if a wallet's able to scan a QR code and import a JSON file into a verified credential, then yeah. Since SSI world is so new, and there's literally only a couple of standards, like 3 or 4, and W3C is one of them for educational credentials, right? Yeah, like it's a wild west. So if the other wallets can scan and import that QR code and accept that as a verified credential in their schema they support, then the user can move everything from this wallet to their wallet. There's a couple wallets out there. They mostly are about educational credentials, educational wallets.
Anybody else have questions?
Hey, Nin, thank you for the presentation. I think it's a good project. What are your thoughts about on-chain integration? If I want to validate some credentials on-chain that are currently stored in the Gravity app.
Yeah. This is like a SSI framework, and the validation verification happens there already. People have said, hey, can we do like a verify NFTs and whatnot, or verify token ownership? The thing about SSI is the biggest principle is like it's privacy preserving, right? So the user has full access over their own data. But if there is a use case of on-chain, verification, for example, in Goki's use case, they would sell an NFT as a proof of ownership, right? But they don't want to store all the KYC and all of that data on-chain, obviously, because it's public. But we could insert the metadata of a token or NFT or just digital asset that points back to the verified credential. And that would make it, or decentralized identifier, that would make it, in a sense, like a Cardano's version of a soulbound token on Ethereum, right? So unless you have both, then you can't really validate ownership, the stake you have in the property, and who you are. But if you do have both, then they can work together. I think there's like a SIP. Don't quite know the number, but Endmaker and other folks, IMX worked on that. There haven't been a lot of requests for this use case, Adrian, to be honest, beyond kind of like, proof that it ever existed on chain, and proof, some kind of link proof between a digital asset and identity. And I think it's because the verified credentials themselves are a proof. They're just not public proofs.
Still in our court to figure out, how far can you take in, say, on-chain validator code the proof that something exists, right? The proof of a verified credential. But we still got more work to do in terms of validating against the actual details of that.
What's the use case that you guys are trying to validate?
I mean, so we got to the point where with the original NFT metadata standard that we understood that even though you could read legible metadata on chain, of course, you can't validate against it. And so now a lot of work has been done placing information, right? Whether it's string data or numerical data or even hashed data.
Right.
We can start to validate against that in a smart contract. But I'm still thinking about what the precise it would be from the details of any data that's recorded in a credential into directly into validation code. I'm most interested in just the pattern in the first place because I think it's going to open up use cases.
Gotcha. So that is pretty simple. Okay. Except the data that you're calling doesn't live on chain. You would be passing like a bunch of data through a JSON file that conforms to some kind of schema, and you only will have access to that data if the user gives you access to that data, right? So it's exactly the same if you're passing a string from an NFT or digital token, right? With a policy ID or number or whatever is part of that digital assets metadata. You're passing information that you get from an API about a verified credential to a smart contract. And either exists or it doesn't. Or it's expired or whatever output that you have.
Right. But the advantage of having critical information in on-chain data is that the actual validator code can confirm that information was accurate, right? If I'm taking it from anywhere off chain, there's still, so it can be delivered in a JSON file, sure, but the on-chain code still doesn't know for sure that data hasn't changed. We need just one more, there's like a missing link there. I think we're close.
So each verified credential has a has decentralized identifier linked to it, right? Just like you have public and private key, for any token. And so public and private key for any wallet, sorry. So decentralized identifier in a way serve as a public key, public identifier. You can see if the verified credential has the right decentralized identifier. And decentralized identifier in most of SSI frameworks, in Hyperledger, in Atala, Intrinsic, they're all public. They're all they live on some public chain. It doesn't tell you who it belongs to, or doesn't tell you what's in it, right? It just only tells you that it exists.
And what's the algorithm that generates those hashed identifiers?
Good question. I don't know. I would have to ask James, my co-founder.
We got to follow up on that one. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you have any technical questions, happy to connect you with the guys. Right.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that detour. Adrian, what do you think?
Yeah, the technical need a technical understanding to an idea if it's possible.
What are you guys building? I'm just curious.
Credentials, yeah, like just we want people to be able to communicate and in a non-custodial way unlock opportunities to contribute across a network.
Interesting. Let me process that.
Yeah,
for a
definitely.
bit.
And we'll have demos to share very soon. And we have some early prototypes that we're playing around with in the Gimbalabs community. But excited to take these next steps.
Awesome. You'd love to see a demo. We're always exploring, especially if you guys think about, like, you know, from what I know, Gimbal has always been a place where developers gather and build cool stuff and learn cool stuff, especially on Cardano. If you guys are thinking of building a lot of your stuff as a nonprofit, you guys are pretty much a nonprofit already, a DAO community, right? I think Nori's experimenting, exploring, and researching Sociarc Cressy 3.0, right? Yeah, we'd love to explore use cases and potential partnerships, or just educate, because when I started building Snapbilia and went towards the mission of empowering others to just have better access to opportunities, Tony and the Atala Prism people, they really got to me with decentralized identity, and it's really important. It's a huge wave, and it's becoming more relevant every single day, not with just data breaches, but and not just with all the compliances and laws coming down and lawsuits, but also just with how AI is progressing and how the world's becoming more interconnected, and how people are pretty much losing control over their digital self.
Yeah,
in fact, they don't have any.
Agreed. And you can see there's a critical mass of people who understand the problems, which is, I think, a really fabulous byproduct of whether it's blockchain adoption playing a role in that and people kind of coming to understand these things, or just looking at what's happening in the world by the forces that you just named. I do think there's enough people who are ready to adopt tools like these.
Yeah, I had 2 conversations on the trip, James, that I just got back from, that, I mean, just random people, and I could just, I went ahead and stopped, after they said something, because it was clear they were onto it, right? They were talking about the problems, and I was just able to nudge them and say, yeah, and that's what crypto's about. And they were like, what? And I just kind of like introduced them to the idea that the reason, crypto is so demonized is because it's actually solving these issues. And like, it was like, it was like I had just told them that they were beautiful. They just lit up. It was crazy. It was crazy how because they were just ready to hear it. And and that's and that never had. I drove 4 years and 500,000 miles in a truck, and I never had conversations like I had with those two people, random people between here and Massachusetts that were significant. And so I really think I'm optimistic. That's all I'll say.
Change is coming. Crypto gets a bad rap, but decentralized identity, although very complicated, it opens a lot of doors. People want security, data privacy, something that's convenient, something that works. And think of a lot of people that are not developers, right? And that wanna safeguard their data, wanna provide and empower their users in their communities. Like when I talk about, we have a way with nonprofits, they don't care who owns the data. They just want to help their people and their community. You know what I mean? So anyways, guys, thank you so much for how long do these meetings usually go?
That's it. We got a minute left. That was kind of a perfect point to wind down.
All right.
Yeah, I think there's some exciting stuff to follow up on, and excited to keep asking these questions with everybody. Thanks, y'all.
Yeah,
Thanks
thank
for
you,
being
everybody.
here, Nan. Appreciate you coming, man.
Always a pleasure. I'm still working, still in this space. I'm not always, in your face like I used to, but I'm building. So thanks for all of your support. Please check out Gravity. If you have any questions about SSI or anything else, just ask. I'm around.
It's great. Thanks, Dan.
Yeah. Thanks,
y'all.
James. Thanks, everybody.
See you real soon. Yep. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.